Good afternoon. It's Monday, September 30th, and it's too darn hot. I'm Max Brantley with the Arkansas Times with some news from Arkansas. First of all, a big decision in federal court in Fayetteville late Friday didn't pick up on it till today. Timothy Brooks has found that Hendren Plastics, that's the Gravit plastics firm headed by State Senator Jim Hendren, and DARP, a supposed drug rehabilitation agency in northwest Arkansas, had violated the state minimum wage law by working people sent to the rehab agency by a drug court without paying them. The rehab agency took the money paid in an equivalent of minimum wage by Hendren's firm and used it for its own purposes to feed and house the workers, but also to profit some $500,000 worth to the owners of the agency, for example. Well, the judge said the minimum wage law applies. They're employees, and they should be paid the minimum wage less a certain amount to offset cost of having them in the program. They said that in some ways the defendants acted in bad faith, that they had known they were not violating, that they were not complying with the law, and they did so to earn a profit for themselves and to manipulate the labor market. They paid less than other people in the area paid similar workers. Hendren says he thought this was a good program to rehabilitate people as an alternative to prison. He didn't think he did wrong. He wanted the case to go to a jury trial. It was a summary judgment. He says he will appeal. In other news, we understand that a inmate sentenced to life for capital murder from Greene County, Calvin Adams, escaped from the Bricky's unit of the East Arkansas Regional Prison Unit today. On the loose, that's not yet clear if he's actually off the prison grounds. It's a big agriculture operation. Interesting thing about Adams is that he escaped in 2009 from the Cummins unit by obtaining a prison guard and walking right out the front door. He was later caught in New York. No word yet on whether they're close on his trail today or not. The State Human Services Department announced today that it was moving to take over operation of 2 nursing homes in Truman and Ola because of concerns about conditions there, and also placing 3 more homes on extensive monitoring because of financial concerns. The jury is hearing closing arguments at this minute in Dallas in the case of Amber Geiger, the Dallas police officer who fatally shot Botham Jean, who was a Harding University graduate, an upstanding, fine young man from St. Lucia who was working in Dallas, eating a bowl of ice cream in his apartment when she entered and shot him to death, mistakenly thinking she was in her own apartment in the same complex. She's arguing self-defense. The prosecution says that's an absurd argument, said that when she heard noises outside the door of an apartment she thought were owned, that police procedures say call for somebody to get back up before you go in. She didn't. She went in. The result is a dead Botham Jean. The prosecutor asked for justice in this case. I went to West Helena yesterday for the dedication of the Elaine Massacre Memorial. It was a worthwhile trip, great keynote speeches from people about the history of the discrimination against black tenant farmers in Arkansas that led to a massacre of 100, maybe 200 black people in Phillips County, and the kangaroo trial of some of the black people, but not of the white people who did the killing. Brian Miller, the federal judge, who's a Helena native and who now serves in Little Rock, gave a wonderful historical talk about how events started there. The renegade posse met on the site of where the memorial now stands. The subsequent kangaroo trials were across the street at the Phillips County Courthouse. Federal trials that eventually exonerated some of the defendants began in the federal courthouse. It was also right there. It was a great moment. It was a diverse crowd. There was a competing ceremony in Elaine, Arkansas, where Wendell Griffin spoke. The thought of a group of people there is that there needs to be restitution now for damage done to people back in that time, but tracing land ownership has not yet shown anybody with a valid claim on having land taken from them. They were certainly mistreated. There were certainly many of them killed. It was certainly a system of discrimination that existed for a long and terrible time in Arkansas. Perhaps there's some movement toward reconciliation today. We shall see. The Saracen Casino opened an annex in Pine Bluff by surprise Friday night with little notice. They're going to have their formal opening tomorrow, and the place was a full house of people eating and drinking and hitting the slot machines. Everybody seemed happy about that. The big news over the weekend is the continued implosion of Donald Trump's mental stability. He's now said, by quoting someone else, that civil war could be likely if he's impeached from office. He's called for the arrest of Adam Schiff, House Committee Chairman, for treason based on nothing. He continues to hold fast to the notion that somehow Ukraine is to blame for election meddling when even his own people have testified in public by name that he's wrong about this, that it was Russia that meddled in the 2016 elections. Of course, Russia's interested in rolling over Ukraine, and that's who Donald Trump continues to work for. The Democrats are saying that even if it means political losses, that the right thing to do is to move ahead with impeachment, no matter the political cost, because of the terrible things that Donald Trump is doing and saying and the damage he's doing in the United States. Couldn't agree more. Resist. I'm Max Brantley. I'll be back tomorrow.